All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're looking at a legendary, high-stakes game that completely spirals out of control. We're focusing on a pivotal dicing sequence from the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata, that perfectly maps out the dark, devastating psychology of gambling. This isn't just some old story about losing money, you know? It's a masterclass in how pride, addiction, and manipulation can systematically dismantle a person's life, step by terrible step.
So what actually happens when a king's immense pride collides head-on with a gambler's addiction? Imagine someone who literally has it all: wealth, power, family, sitting across from an opponent who knows exactly how to push every single one of their buttons. The source material outlines this relentless, agonizing descent, and the specific things being wagered tell a vivid story of a man completely losing his grip on reality.
So let's look at Phase 1, Infinite Wealth.
You know, every massive disaster has to start somewhere, right? And here, it kicks off with a truly mind-boggling display of ego from King Yudhishthira. When his opponent, Sakuni, challenges him, Yudhishthira doesn't just toss a chest of gold on the table. Oh no. He arrogantly boasts about staking millions, then billions, and eventually tens and hundreds of quadrillions in wealth. I mean, it is an astronomical, almost unfathomable number. He's basically trying to crush his opponent with sheer financial gravity, treating the whole game like a total formality that he just can't possibly lose. But wow, the trap snaps shut instantly. The source explicitly points out that Sakuni is ready with the dice, adopting unfair means. Basically, he cheats. And with this cold, calculated swiftness, he drops the exact phrase that's going to become the chilling heartbeat of this entire explainer. Lo, I have won. And just like that, poof, the quadrillions are completely gone.
Which brings us to Phase 2, the kingdom and the people.
The stakes rapidly shift from mere gold to the kingdom itself. Now, a rational person, they probably walk away after losing a quadrillion-dollar fortune. But we're dealing with a gambler's mind here. It's the ultimate sunk cost fallacy in action. That staggering loss just completely fuels his desperate need to win it all back. So things escalate wildly. Yudhishthira is now risking everything from his cattle to his actual subjects. He wagers immeasurable kine and horses from Parnasa to the Sindhu, and then he just keeps going, betting his city, his country, and the wealth of all his citizens. Interestingly, notice the one line he absolutely refuses to cross. He explicitly excludes the wealth and the persons of the Brahmanas, the priestly class. It's like even in his total madness, he's clinging to this tiny shred of religious and social morality, while still being perfectly fine gambling away the lives of everyone else he's supposed to protect. And, predictably, we get that hypnotic, terrifying repetition of Sakuni's foul play and swift victory. The loaded dice roll, the cheating happens, and an entire kingdom is just swept away with those exact same 4 words. Lo, I have won.
Moving on to Phase 3, the human stakes.
So, the gold is gone, the land is gone, the citizens are gone. What on earth is left for a king who doesn't even have a kingdom anymore? Well, we enter a deeply, deeply uncomfortable phase where Yudhishthira actually starts betting human lives by first wagering his resplendent princes. And just listen to how he reduces human beings to sheer physical, monetary value. He looks at his royal entourage, points out their gold earrings and ornaments, and literally calls them my wealth. The dehumanization process is fully underway, completely setting the stage for the unthinkable.
The tragic descent just worsens as he wagers his own brothers, one by one, and the profound irony here is wild. Right before he throws their lives away on a rigged dice roll, he actually praises their incredible virtues. He wagers Nakula, pointing out his leonine neck. He wagers Sahadeva, praising how he administers justice. Then he bets Falguna, Arjuna, the victorious hero, and finally Bhima, the unmatched leader and foremost wielder of the mace. He knows exactly how incredibly noble and valuable his brothers are, but that absolute compulsion to keep playing just overrides all fraternal love and logic.
And despite Sakuni openly taunting him, he literally mocks Yudhishthira, comparing him to an intoxicated man falling into a pit. That chilling refrain comes back. Sakuni pretends to be polite, bowing to Yudhishthira's seniority, all while manipulating him into handing over his strongest brothers. Using those same foul means, Sakuni wins every single one. Lo, I have won.
Next is Phase 4, Losing Himself.
So the downward spiral hits a new low because Yudhishthira has officially run out of brothers to wager. He literally has nothing left but his own physical autonomy. And here, we see the absolute extreme of the gambler's psychology, offering up his own freedom and subjecting himself to the dice. He acknowledges his status as the eldest, someone so dear to his family.
but he's so completely consumed by the momentum of the game that he volunteers for slavery. He literally promises to do what he that is won will have to do.
Sakuni, of course, eagerly accepts this bet. What's crazy is that even Sakuni calls this act very sinful just moments later, totally feigning moral outrage while happily pocketing the winnings. And once more, with those rigged dice, Sakuni declares, "Lo, I have won. King Yudhishthira is now a slave."
This brings us to Phase 5, the unthinkable bet.
You'd think it was over, but Sakuni points out there is one final, truly unthinkable stake remaining to buy Yudhishthira's freedom back. Acting as the ultimate instigator, Sakuni tells the newly enslaved king to win himself back by staking one last piece of wealth. The juxtaposition in Yudhishthira's words here is honestly horrifying. He uses this incredibly poetic, loving language to describe his wife, Draupadi, all while treating her as a mere gambling chip. He describes her eyes and fragrance like the autumn lotus, talks about her compassion, her sweet speech, how she's always the first to wake up and the last to go to bed caring for everyone. It is a beautiful, deeply respectful portrait of a wife. And yet, he concludes this beautiful tribute by putting her on the table as a stake to be won by a man he knows is his enemy. It's the ultimate betrayal, completely wrapped in beautiful poetry.
For the final, devastating time, Sakuni takes up the cast dice. The source says he is proud of his success, totally flurried with excitement. And he says those terrible words one last time. "Lo, I have won." They have officially hit the absolute bottom of the pit.
Finally, let's look at Phase 6, the fractured assembly.
Now remember, this game didn't just happen in a vacuum, right? It took place in an assembly packed with the greatest kings, elders, and warriors of the era. And their reactions tell us everything we need to know about the immense moral weight of what just went down. The divide in that room is stark. On one side, absolute horror. The source text tells us the aged persons are literally crying, "Fie, fie." The great warriors Bhishma and Drona are covered in sweat, fully realizing the apocalyptic consequences this game is going to unleash. Vidura basically loses his reason, holding his head and sighing like a snake. But on the other side, the victors show an utter lack of empathy. Karna and Dussasana actually laugh out loud at Draupadi's enslavement. And the blind king Dhritarashtra, he can't even conceal his emotions. He keeps repeatedly asking, "Hath the stake been won?" while feeling, quote, glad at heart. The room is entirely fractured between this profound moral grief and sheer malicious joy.
To wrap up this explainer, I really want you to consider a final provocative thought about the moral weight of what we just witnessed. We have Sakuni, whom we know from the text explicitly adopted unfair means and foul means. He ruthlessly cheated to ruin his rivals. But then we also have Yudhishthira, the supposedly righteous king, who had the power to just walk away, but instead actively chose to gamble his kingdom, his loyal brothers, his own freedom, and his devoted wife. So I leave you with this. When looking at this total, utter collapse of a man's life, who is the true villain? Is it the manipulator who sets the trap, or the addict who willingly walks right into it and drags everyone he loves down with him? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.